All right, good morning. Rainy day here in Western Maryland, so we're gonna try to spend a little time and talk about the next book in the series, Fat Cat. It's say it's a cold and rainy day here, so um, great opportunity for doing inside work. Mm, coffee. Okay. Basically, the first couple of books that we've talked about were the first one is like, the message here in God, and coming to a belief in God. And then the second is, the able is to attempt to, free up your mind from all the other influences that are out there. Um, there's a lot of distractions in life, I guess is what we call them. People, their jobs, their careers, whatever. Just all the social media stuff with, um, sporting events and just all types of distractions. Um, what you need to do as a new Christian or even as a old Christian is you should be plugging into God. That should be your source for everything that matters. Not that you can't have fun and do fun things and go places and visit and that kind of stuff. It's all good. But when it becomes so much that you're just constantly running, 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 you need to step back from that and say, look, what am I doing? And so those are the first couple of books. This particular book, Fat Cat, is set in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, to be specific. And so there's a little bit of local, things or aspects to the book that people who live there for a while they'll probably recognize, and so there's a benefit, from that. Um, and so, but it's the book's set back in a good old days, really, I guess, if that's what you want to call them. Where a lot of electricity and medical care wasn't that great, and there was you basically had your chores to do, a couple, 2 or 3, 4 hours a day, except during harvest time. And basically the rest of the day was yours. You could go and do things. And so this is where that story it picks up at, is with Pat and her loyal companion, um, Laz, the cat. So, so that's a picture of Laz over on the left. Um, she was my library friend and companion, and she would come read books with me at night, and spend. She was born to be a cat, a library cat. I guess there's different cats for different reasons, but she was that, and so. That's the first image there is Pat. She's finished her chores. She's following the what we sometimes people down south and maybe other places call the primrose path. Primrose grows used to before they did weed killing and all the kind of things in the highway medians down there. It used to just grow wild all over the place. I can remember when we would travel by car to somewhere, it'd just be huge swaths of it all along the road and stuff. But that's all gone now. And so, she goes down to her favorite fishing hole, and there are a lot of people on different paths, and there's nothing wrong with that, I suppose. It's what's right for you. But if you've been called to worship the Creator God, and as most Christians have, and you've basically working to get the idols out of your life and all the other distractions, you might want to think about, what you eat. And I know that's a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but there's examples in the Bible. Specifically the one that most often comes to mind is Nebuchadnezzar and the king's food, and Daniel. 10 days after not eating the king's food, you know, Daniel and his companions were their countenance, their complexion or whatever, it looked brighter, looked healthier, and so they were able to demonstrate that a clean, healthy diet is beneficial. It's kind of interesting to note that Daniel wound up being a very, very old person in the Bible, and kings came and went, and that's all. I think there was a lot of hazards to being a king in the first place, but the lifestyle choices that they make probably led to an early er demise than would be necessary. And so this book kind of touches on that in a kind of a lighthearted manner. The first real scene you come to is that's a clue is there's the three craft there. There's Enterprise and Reliance and Endeavor. Enterprise and Endeavor were actual shuttle names. I actually saw the Enterprise come into Huntsville. I can remember standing out in a corn or a cotton field down there and watching it come in on the back of a 747. It was interesting because the same thing happened when I was stationed at Hill Air Force Base. It landed there one time, so we were all out there um, in the good old days, up on the roof of the building, watching it come in, and it was a sight to behold. And then there's Reliance, and the names of the boats, the captains are all the Hunt brothers, and so one of the Hunt brothers was John Hunt, and he was basically the founder, if you will, of Huntsville. But there's Laz. She's always excited about going fishing with her buddy Pat, and she's got her little pat pat tap tap kind of thing going on. She sees the fish in the water, and she's excited about it, and that kind of thing. Uh, Down in this neck of the woods down there's a big spring. I thought it was kind of interesting because here we have Clear Spring and Big Pool. And so, I don't know if the people from here settled there or whatever and brought that with them and they decided to name it Big Spring or if it just came natural. But anyway, they catch this big old catfish, Pat and Laz do. And so they put it um, in a pot, Big Spring, for a vat, if you will. Book is, basically about cat and vat and pat and sat and mat and all these different words that, rhyme. So, it's that. How about that? Okay, I say. So then they have a question. It's kind of interesting. Laz knows exactly what to do with it, but Pat, she's kind of wondering, well, what do we do with this fat cat? We've caught this fat cat, and we now have a choice to make. I mean, because basically it came down there to catch brim, crappies and stuff. Those are clean fish with scales and fins that you can eat. But well, what do we do with this fat cat? So she's kind of pondering that. So um, wouldn't you know it, in comes Matt. Uh, he's a hunter. He's seeking people to bring a message of a healthy lifestyle choice. Uh, I just chose to put him in a baseball outfit because, well, back in the time that this was set, baseball was just beginning as a sport, and football really wasn't. I mean, I'm sure they were playing something like similar to it, but not the game of today. But and so he has the heart symbol is on there, which is one of the things you're supposed to be looking for in each of the books. You got a messenger, Pat. You got the rainbow in the second scene there, symbolic of God's mercy. This is the heart. I'll write the commandments on your heart. Um, so it's an acronym. Hunter, and it says happy heart, unhealthy part. It's like if there's something, some food or something you shouldn't partake of, your heart's not happy. No happy heart. What's tried and tested is exercise and regular exercise. and this is good for you. I mean, I had a pretty good workout yesterday myself. We got some donkeys on the farm now, and setting all that up, and water troughs and hay and feeding and all that, and in addition to all the other chores, stacking wood. There's a lot of exercise around here, and not a lot of distractions. So your mind can stay steady. You don't have a lot of induced anxiety that comes with living in more populated areas. So it's important to keep your mind, in addition to keeping your healthy body healthy and whatnot. It's good to keep your mind healthy also, have good mental health. Um, and so rural lifestyle kind of helps with that. Don't mean you have to live in the country, but you ought to at least, take an excursion to the country every now and then. Get out in the nature, hike about. Um, One of the parks in Huntsville is Montesano State Park, and so that's basically the the theme of this. Matt shows up and he encounters Laz and Pat, and they're pondering, what are we going to do with this cat? So the healthy mountain. Um, they're faced with a choice. The healthy mountain, Montesano, translates. It's a Spanish. I guess when the explorers came through, they named it, or the Indians or Alabama tribes or whoever were there called it the healthy mountain, and the Spanish called it Montesano. It's a really a neat place. When I was a kid, you could, I mean, it was 30, 40,000 people. You just take off, and unlike today where you got to have supervised play, we as kids, I mean, we were 10, 12 years old. We just took off and did things, right? And I can remember one day, I don't remember the exact day, but I remember we all took off. There was a bunch of us and decided to hike up the side of the mountain, and you could do that, man. We were just going up there, cutting through yards, and we could see the cross up on the top of the mountain, and so it was easy to keep your bearings. But there's all kinds of neat stuff up there. There's 3 caves and things of that nature, which now that I think about it, might want to put into a book at some point in the future. But 3 caves was kind of a neat place, and Montesano, and as kids, everybody kind of follows their own path, and I can remember, I got there first, for whatever reason, I managed to do that, and I got there and I found this cross, and it's huge. And it's a 20, 30, 40 foot high cross. It's pretty good. You can see it from the surrounding countryside. So, and I remember putting my hands on it, and wow, that was an experience. And so, um, I don't know. I'm not encouraging people to go up and put their hands on the cross at Montesano, but it definitely put me on a different path. And so you got a couple of choices in life. You can follow the healthy mountain approach, or you can go to Pat's left here. There's a path that leads to Healthy Mountain. There's also a path that leads to Little Rock, and it's the other direction. And Little Rock is a pebble, okay. And so, but then healthy animals, people, I don't know anyone who eats skunk, but I'm sure someone may eat it. But there's squirrels and there's rabbits and turtles and those kind of animals, and I know people who eat those. As a kid, I can remember eating squirrels, right? So I'm not like a person who never ate anything unclean or unhealthy. Okay, it was something that as I progressed in my spiritual development, you know, I changed. You know, and it's not just it wasn't. It's not just me who myself that changed. I've known others who've had similar type experiences, and I actually worked with a fella, and I don't know, it wasn't anything I did. He through his own church or whatever, they decided they would try clean diets that were just identified, prescribed by the Bible. I hate to use the words prescribed, but there's actually a good indication that the Bible wants you to stay clean and keep your temple clean. And I left there, and a couple years later, he called me up, and he said, he was wanting to talk to me about some things, and along the way, he mentioned that, oh, wow, my mind is clear now, and so I'm like, well, that's what happens. And even like with Daniel now, within 10 days, whatever. But it takes a while to get the unhealthy things out of your mind, the chemicals and that doesn't just happen overnight. And so it's a lifestyle choice. You got to choose to eat healthy, exercise, and get that stuff out of you. I read that the marrow in your bones renews about every 7 years or so. So if you've been eating unclean foods your whole life, it's gonna take at least 7 years to renew the marrow in your bones. It's just my thought process. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it happens quicker than that. I don't know. But once you I can testify to this. Once you adopt a healthy lifestyle, your perception of the world and it changes, and your ability to think and critical thought and whatnot, it improves. I'm not saying there's going to be some type of miraculous, thing that occurs where you are now, a rocket scientist, right, for instance, or something of that nature. But yeah, you're gonna see things differently, and you're gonna be better for it. I'm 67. I don't take any drugs. I'm not on any medications. Nothing. Um, Praise God and hallelujah, right? So, um, but anyway, um, so that's that. And it's kind of an interesting situation here with this page. So they're down there. There's Pat and Laz, and the gnats are the flying, and anyone knows that around the water they kind of have a tendency to mosquitoes and gnats and dragonflies. And I chose gnats because it rhymes with fat and cat and bat, and so. But yeah, there's other bugs. And the bats, they just kind of skim across the surface occasionally. They'll come down out of they eat a lot of mosquitoes. They're beneficial creatures, but not something you'd want to eat on a regular basis, right? I mean, and so that's what Matt is basically attempting to communicate is king cat. He's the big cat. And, there's always a big cat in the water somewhere. He's been there, a long time. And, I mean, it's the stuff of legends down there, but the guys that go down on the Tennessee and work on the dams and things, they say there's, catfish down there as big as the refrigerators and stuff. So, big cats. Been around a long time. Those guys. The story is I don't know, how true it is, but those guys actually get extra pay to go down there. I can understand why. When you get the fish, it's that size. They're just hungry, right? And so anyway, this big old king cat just he jumps out of the water and gets himself a bat, and Pat and Laz are just astonished. They're like, wow, and I guess they'd never seen anything such as that before. So anyway, so it's during this uh, time that Pat she's sitting there and she's got her lunch and Laz in this particular clip you can see she's intently gazing still at the big spring vat that has they've now named the cat Nat, so Nat, which is kind of another, there's gnats that fly and then there's gnats that are short for the name like Nathaniel. And so, yeah, it's kind of, hopefully it helps kids learn that, words that sound the same but mean different things and, that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's teaching a lesson. I mean, you can see Pat, she's got her healthy lunch there. She's got, nutritious things like fruits and that's bread, not donuts. Well, nothing wrong with donuts either. I mean, you got to have a few simple pleasures in life, right? Just kind of kind of hold yourself back some too, if you can. I mean, whatever. So, but they're sitting there, and you can say, there's a theme in a lot of these books, and you kind of picked up on it if you saw the Abel clip. Pat's barefoot. And the reason why, characters barefoot in the story is, well, first of all, it's fun to go walk around barefoot. As kids, we walked around barefoot, all the time. I can remember summers it was so hot that we'd run from one shade tree to the other just because the road, the blacktop, was a hot stuff. But when you're out on the ground, it's not like that at all, and it's actually kind of fun. I don't know how safe it is these days to do that, but we did it a lot, and we had fun. I guess uh, you know when you're kids and you're growing, you go through a pair of shoes and nothing flat, right? So uh, anyway. So eventually, she decides, okay, this is probably not, the best choice to do, and to eat this catfish, and Matt, he convinces her. He's like, look, if you don't eat cats and you don't eat bats and things of that nature, why would you eat that? And so she sets it free, and because she said, she now has knowledge, well, she now has shoes. And so once you get knowledge or you get information that helps make for a better situation, you get shoes on your feet. And so she got the illustrator picked out the red color. Wasn't anything I did. Nothing. No correlation there to ruby red slippers or anything like that. But yeah, she was up with red slippers, uh, on her feet. I'm not even sure if they had that kind of thing back then, but I thought, well, it's a nice touch, and so I didn't. I just said okay. But yeah, and so Laz, you can see they got a string of brim and crappies there, and Laz is still focused on the fish. She's thinking, I'm gonna get a fish sandwich out of this someday, somehow. So they set Nat free, which is a good thing because Nat, he should be free, okay, or she, I guess, whatever. He got a boy name, so we'll go with it's a guy. And so, but yeah, they set him free. And so the book kind of winds up with, it's a little deep, but basically there's a scripture that says, look, just talk to God, help Him help you decide if the lifestyle choices as far as your diet and whatnot are correct. If you can go to God and He can answer you with, oh yeah, eat anything. Well, okay. Well, I'm not gonna get in the way of that, but I'm not sure that that's the way it reads in the Old or New Testament. As a matter of fact, I think somewhere around Acts chapter 15 basically says there's the for the Gentiles, if you're persuaded that that's what you are, there's certain foods you shouldn't eat. Basically anything strangled. And I mean, just that's not a good way for any kind of person or animal or anything to die. And there's a whole lot of you know hormones that are released, anxiety, fear, adrenaline, whatnot. That they're all in the food that you would be eating if you ate an animal like that. And basically, so you know, there was a process back then for creating food, I guess is what the word would be. And that process, you know, didn't involve strangling animals. They were properly butchered, if you will. And so uh, some people would say that that was kosher, the way they did things. So, so I think that's what they were talking about, that you should eat animals that have been properly processed and that kind of thing, not something that was, um, whatever. And so the other things is, keep yourself clean, morally pure, and that kind of. And so there's a kind of a, list of things that are listed there in Acts chapter 15 that you don't hear a whole lot of preaching about it. That's for sure. And you can kind of sort of just skip over it, I guess, because it doesn't fit the narrative that they want to present. It's kind of difficult to, you know, um, you know, have a, Easter ham or whatever when there's no, it's supposed to be eating pigs. So, but whatever. And so, the back call, that's, spirit. And so if the spirit's, is spiritually revealing something to you, like it does to Pat here, she's now aware that she probably should tell other people. And so she's saying, preach the fish awareness story, which, and so during the course of doing this, I said, well, um, it's difficult to find food that hasn't been contaminated in some way. Okay. And the big thing now is PFAS. So that's the acronym you see there, PFAS, and so there's a lot of chemicals and additives and things, even that somehow managed to make it into your favorite, drink, because in different types of plastic containers, and so it's a battle, and it's not like something that's just oh, I can choose to do this and now I'm all good, and that's you could adopt a couple of approaches. I'm gonna work to, have glass containers or something. Or, well, it's just too much effort. I'm not going to do anything at all. And so that's up to you. I mean, but, teaching your kids at a young age to eat clean foods and to exercise, which, around here, my granddaughter, she don't have any problem exercising. I mean, she runs up and down the hills and, chases after turkeys and chickens. And I mean, she's just constantly running and going. She's a bundle. She's something to keep up with. And but yeah, she's a lot of fun. And she's also, there's things that she wants to eat. Like she finds all kinds of things out there, bugs and berries and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, get the bugs off the berries before you eat them. Because you don't want to necessarily eat bugs, but berries are good, right? So it's that kind of thing. And so and there's that. And then Laz, here in the closing scene, she's looking back out. She's looking out to the reader, and she's like, well, come on and follow us. Come on with us, So she's kind of she's kind of indicating, okay, stay where you are if you want to, but you could come and follow what we're doing. And so, so that basically is the gist of the story. Like I say, I mean, there's, the first, become aware of God. Then there's the get rid of the idols in your life, which is also an aspect of Acts chapter 15 as it relates to diet and that kind of thing. And then this, eat clean foods, take care of yourself, exercise regularly. I mean, if there's just something I'm not, wanting to get anybody's dietary thing or whatever, do what you feel you need to do. But if you just can't help yourself, you got to have like, catfish every now and then. Well, knock yourself out. Don't get me wrong. When I was in Alabama, I ate my share of catfish. There's no doubt that was a long time ago. But and so the sooner the other aspect of it is, probably the sooner that you decide that you want to change, what you consume, probably better for you, because you will eventually get older. Trust me, and that happens to everybody, and so you'll get older, and then you'll have challenges at that point in time. And so, my mom, she wasn't the most um, philosophical person, I don't suppose. But she was like, well, you need to take care of your body because when you get old, you're going to feel everything, right? So I always took that to mean, well, try not to break anything or, bruise anything too badly because it'll come back to, and that does. It does come back on you. I mean, you get the aches and pains of old age. But in addition to that, you should, eat cleaner. So, this is the third in the series of videos. We've got a couple more. The next one's Silly Millie on the race that everybody runs, and then Jane and Trumpet Train. So hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.